And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. Let's go. Let's get there. Hit subscribe, watch, comment. Keep the comments coming and share with your friends and family. If each of you literally shared it with one person, we would more than have 500,000. We're building this community to ensure that our voices are not drowned out, that our voices are heard as far from Washington all the way to God knows where. Now, I want to be clear about something. Since November 5th, when I started this, I have been crystal clear that I will be the first one to critique Trump and point out his lies and the things that he's doing that are wrong. But I will also acknowledge if he has a win. And today has been a really good day for him and this administration. Now, I've gotten so much slack for posting this positive thing that Trump accomplished. This morning, Trump posted on his Truth Social that Edon Alexander, the last living U.S. citizen held captive by Hamas in Gaza, is going to be released. In fact, it will be released probably around the time that you see this episode. Now, Hamas even confirmed that his release is going to happen today. Let me show you what Trump wrote. In it, he wrote, Edon Alexander, American hostage thought dead, to be released by Hamas. Great news. Now, I somewhat got angry at some of the people that made these nasty comments. Oh, you're bending the knee. Are you serious? I'm a parent. I can't imagine the pain that family was going. This is a wonderful day for the Alexander family, for Israel, and for the American people. Hands down. So a congratulations is in order to both the president and his team for effectuating this. He was presumed deceased. In fact, he's not, and he is coming home to his family. Now, I want to show you another thing in positive news. Trump has actually revived a policy that targets drug prices. In fact, this morning, he held a presser with RFK to make the announcement. I mean, let's look at some of the clips. In it, Trump spoke about the importance of bringing down drug prices. Play that clip.
They'll have to do that. So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think 59. If you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. You know, it depends on the way you want to analyze it, but in one way you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%. So when I worked so hard in the first term, and if I got prices down, remember I was the only one to ever get prices down for a full year. But I'd get them down like 2%, and I thought it was like a big deal. Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%. But actually more than that, if you think about it in the way mathematically. And Farmer has...
Yeah, let me be clear about something. I'm certain that every single person who's watching this episode can relate. I'll give you a personal anecdote. Since I was age 5, I've been suffering my entire life from what's called cluster migraine headaches, debilitating, and I take a drug for it, all right? It's called Ubrelvy. You see it on television. Serena Williams is actually a spokesperson for it because she suffers from the same thing. Let me tell you, there was a time when I could not get the insurance to cover it, but I was so desperate for it, I ended up literally buying 10 pills. Each pill cost me just about $100 a pill. Imagine that for a migraine pill, close to $100 a clip. So yeah, it's a good thing. But I want to also be clear that what he's saying is not 100% accurate or maybe even 50% accurate. Joe Biden did the same thing. Remember when we were talking about the price of insulin that he was bringing it down and so on and so forth. So what he's saying is not true. But at the end of the day, absolutely bring down drug prices. It doesn't just help those of us who need to take this medication. The elderly, the ones who are actually going to be, hit hardest by this crazy economy, these are the people who need this additional money. Meanwhile, Trump said that he knows the healthcare system best, especially after he had to save Obamacare. Not true. Play the clip.
Never had a president that had the courage to do this. And nobody knew the system like I do. I mean, I've gotten to know this system so well. And I don't think it's fair that it benefits Obamacare. Obamacare is a failure. It's not a good health care. It works. I made it work. I had an obligation to make it work, or an obligation to let it die. I chose that we had to make it work. I had to make it as good as possible. And I had a choice. I could have let it fail or make it as good as possible. As good as possible means it was still not very good, but it survived.
Yeah. By the way, that's just not true. He had to take a swipe at Obama. Why not turn around and take the win? Take the win graciously. Turn around and say, I have now made a decision that we're going after all of the foreign companies that are manufacturing drugs that is sold here in America. We want the lowest, and we are going to get the lowest price that they sell it to anybody else. All right? He claimed that he came up with this entire concept, as well as the word equalizing. Play that clip.
The rest of the world's going to have to pay a little bit more, and America's going to pay a lot less. Again, because it's a much smaller population than when you think of the whole world. So basically what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize, where we're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe's going to pay. We're going to all pay. Now, there may be some countries in dire need, and I would be willing to sacrifice that and help them. But it's called most favored nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world.
Yeah, good. By the way, I never understood why we didn't have what's called most favored nation status. It made absolutely no sense to me. Meanwhile, he turns around, Trump, and he says that this is in the context of drug prices, that the EU is actually nastier than China. Play that clip.
This means American patients were effectively subsidizing socialist healthcare systems in Germany, in all parts of the European Union. They were the toughest of all. They were nasty. And I see that. I see that with trade, too. European Union is in many ways nastier than China. Okay? And we've just started with them. Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch. We have all the cards. They treated us very unfairly. They sell us 13 million cars. We sell them none. They sell us their agricultural products. We sell them virtually none. They don't take our products. That gives us all the cards, and very unfair. So they're going to have to pay more for health care, and we're going to have to pay less. That's all it is. And believe.
Yeah, I think he was conflating both health care and agra in the same sentence, which I don't get why. Meanwhile, Trump then goes on, because there's nothing like a good press conference to be screwed up with a personal anecdote from our supreme leader. And in this anecdote, he talks about a business friend who takes what I suspect is Ozempic, calling his friend fat, calling him extremely smart, but really very, very fat. Play the clip.
I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88 and in New York I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?
Yeah. Probably not even a true story, by the way. Meanwhile, Trump wanted to make it clear that this new policy was focused on targeting the foreign countries, not the drug companies, but rather the foreign countries. Play that clip.
Being a little bit new to the government aspect of it is why doesn't somebody fight the drug price situation, meaning equalization? There's a term, it's called equalization. Nobody wants to mention that term. And I'm not knocking the drug companies. I'm really more knocking the countries than the drug companies because they're forced to do things. But
yeah, no, there's nothing for me to say on that one. He also goes on and says that if necessary, that he's going to investigate foreign countries and drug companies. Investigate them of what? Their pricing? Play the clip.
And if necessary, we'll investigate the drug companies and we'll, in particular, investigate the countries that are doing this. And we will add it onto the price that we charge them for doing business in America. In other words, we'll add it onto tariffs if they don't do what is right, which is everybody should equalize. Everybody should pay the same price. And
yeah, for a businessman, I'm pretty sure he understands that the drug manufacturing companies are not owned by the government. And if you want to do something, just figure out a way how to deal with the drug companies. But to now go ahead and try to tariff a country for the sole purpose of what? Getting them to reduce pricing? Again, it's a hell of a strategy there, pal. Meanwhile, lastly, RFK had to thank his dear leader and say that while Trump tried to be bought by Big Pharma, he prioritized Americans and America first. Play that clip.
President who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry too. I think they gave you $100 million. Yeah. But he can't be bought, unlike most.
Whoa, they gave him $100 million? When? And for what? When did they give him $100 million? Meanwhile, Trump acknowledged it. I'd like to know the answer to that. In fact, I tried Googling it and I couldn't find it. Is that money in his pocket? Is that money that went to his campaign? Where did it go? I don't know, which is why I keep saying our voices need to resonate. Our community needs to grow. So please hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share. Share this episode, share this program with all your family and with your friends. Tell them to join the conversation and join the community. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.